District Attorney Fani Willis, she loved putting RICOs on people. Well, she might be facing one herself, and the twists and turns and the situations and very suspicious and interesting. They're investigating her right now. Now, Michael Roman is the one who's filing these charges. She's been accused of having a secret love relationship with her fellow prosecutor and also profiting off a Trump case. This lady been charging bans just for simple press conferences and etc. We're going to get back to that. But his name is Nathan Wade, and he was hired by Fani Willis' team to assist in the Donald Trump case, and he's been assisting all right. Now, in a court filing Monday, former Trump campaign staff member Michael Roman accuses Willis of having potentially committed an act to defraud the public of honest services based on her intentional failure to disclose to alleged relationship that she allegedly personally benefited from. Now, I want to go get 3 different sources as far as district attorney pay, and they don't really make that much like people think they are. They average like 75 to about 150,000 a year. Now, some of the allegations are Fani team not only paid Wade over $1 million throughout his 3 years there with him, but also took expensive vacations and all types of other things that's not disclosed yet. But when the information leaked, shit went haywire because it's bad for work and business. Because most DAs don't even make near that much on average. Yet they find out this dude here is not only knocking down a big boss lady, but is also making 5 to 6 times more than them. That ain't gonna sit right with them at all. Now, merchants claim to have learned about Wade and Willis' secret involvement by reviewing Nathan Wade's divorce file, which wasn't fully sealed at that time, as no court hearing has taken place to officially block the papers from public view. And she was also served with a subpoena that she must be there at Nathan Wade's divorce case and she must testify. Now let's get into these news clips so I can bring further better clarity to what's going on in this messy ass situation.
Is it as big of a bombshell as some are making it out to be?
Yes, it's huge. The thing is, when you have a criminal case and there's also a companion civil case with it, it gives you a complete advantage because you're able to use the civil discovery procedures to get information you might not be able to get in a criminal case. And Nathan Wade, the special prosecutor who was hired by Fani Willis to work on this case at an extraordinarily high amount, $1 million over a year and a half, is going through a divorce. And in that divorce action, the divorce attorneys have been able to access his bank records and his credit card receipts. And now they've noticed Fani Willis for a deposition in late January, where she will almost surely be forced to plead the Fifth Amendment because adultery is still a crime in the state of Georgia. So she cannot really admit to adultery. It would be a bad look.
You think about this.
Salacious allegations involving Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis raising brand new questions tonight.
Now, those allegations include things like Willis's office paying Wade over $1 million over the course of his 3 years on this case, and that the two took lavish vacations together in that time period. This was all we could find. When we went to the clerk's office in Cobb County Superior today, this was just it. The single piece of paper saying that his divorce case has actually been sealed since February of 2022. Attorneys today tell us that is highly unlikely for divorce cases. A loan document indicating Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade's divorce case is sealed from public view is all we could get from Cobb County Superior Court. On Wednesday, reporters trickled into the clerk's office trying to get a hold of the divorce documents that could confirm the shocking allegations filed by a defendant in the Georgia election indictment. Divorce proceedings are a highly unusual thing to seal, multiple attorneys told Atlanta News First. But the divorce paperwork seems to be the basis for defendant Michael Roman's filing, claiming his charges should be dropped because Willis and Wade were involved in a romantic relationship while Wade was in the employ of Willis's office and leading the prosecution of the indictment. Also this week, District Attorney Fani Willis was served a subpoena to testify in Wade's divorce case.
I'm pretty sure that she feels she has nothing to hide, so she's going to go ahead and testify.
Attorney J. Edward Chip says whatever Willis says in her testimony could be used by Roman's attorneys to fight his charges.
I think it's a creative legal maneuver. You don't see this every day in which a person says this person had a romantic relationship, so therefore the case in chief is invalid. But hey, if it works, it works.
Now they also still watching an investigation and suspicious of her and Nathan Wade supposed to be responsible for all them inmates dying in Cobb County Jail back in 2020. They were supposed to do all type of investigations, have paperwork and all that. Come to find out, they ass ain't have shit. All he worried about is RICOs.
It is not the first time Wade's conduct has been questioned. Back in 2020, after a series of deaths in the Cobb County Jail, 11 Alive filed an open records request for documents related to the deaths. Despite having released many of those documents to the public in the past, the Sheriff's Office refused to release those records to us, saying many of the cases in question had been reopened as part of an external review of the jail. Nathan Wade's law firm was tasked with leading that review. 11 Alive ultimately sued to bring those records to light. In a filing in October of 2020, Cobb County's lawyer wrote that over the course of 5 months, Wade and his law partner had met with numerous staff members and inmates and reviewed hundreds of files. But when questioned by 11 Alive's lawyer Derek Bauer at a hearing just 3 days later, Wade said he didn't have any records of his work.
You do not have a single record in your possession that's associated with the review and assessment that you've been engaged to undertake?
I do not.
Does your law firm possess any records?
No, sir.
As your review and assessment for the Cobb County Sheriff's Office stands today, you have no work product whatsoever associated with that undertaking, correct?
Oh, I have work product. It's just not in the form of documents, communications, or record memorializing, reflecting evidence, or relating to the work, as you've put it here.
Okay, well, what work product do you have?
Well, I have obviously my brainchild, what's going on in my mind about it. That's what I have.
In a ruling in favor of 11 Alive, a Superior Court judge ultimately dismissed Wade from that 2020 case, but also noted he had not produced any reports or other documentation.
Now there was already accusations about her also having a relationship with Big Nut, dealing with the YSL trial. You know, same one used to be down with Thug, then fell out, but he was close to YFN Lucci and Rich Homie Quan, and Thug ain't like nan one of them, so eventually caused a war. That broke out. Big Nut was gunned down standing in front of a barbershop, but they didn't have any hard evidence on her. It was just rumors. Now a lot of people be thinking that this RICO is mainly dealing with, you know, street crimes and organizations and stuff like that, but that's not really the case. Because she's the same one that put the RICO on school teachers. Yep. She put the RICO on school teachers. Of all them cheating scandals, she put RICOs on every last one of them. But we're going to get into this clip right here, and it's going to further break shit down for you.
Representative Smith, I guess one of the things I want to do here is sort of bust this myth that it's all actually about gangs. What makes Georgia's RICO statute unique is that you don't actually have to find a criminal enterprise. Willis, speaking to jurors in the teacher cheating scandal, seemingly invoked a scene from Goodfellas, describing it this way. She said, you do not, under RICO, have to have a formal sit-down dinner meeting where you eat spaghetti. But what you have to do is all be doing the same thing for the same purpose. You all have to be working toward that same goal, which ultimately does need to be criminal.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Enterprise is defined very broadly under Georgia law. It can be a person, it can be persons, it can be legal businesses, it can be illegal businesses, it can be government agencies, it can be 3 or 4 or 5 people who just get together and decide that they want to work together toward a common purpose and agree to commit crimes in furtherance of that purpose. It is very broad. And we talked about this earlier in your program. RICO is particularly, in Georgia, particularly broad, more so than the federal version of RICO, because it isn't just crimes that can form the basis of racketeering activity. It can be acts involving crimes,
right,
threats involving crimes. So it really can get at conduct that isn't necessarily on its face criminal. We see that in this indictment.
This is really important because having read this indictment, there are lots of acts in it, Fred, that on the face of it, so-and-so called so-and-so at this hour. There was nothing on the face of that would be criminal. But it says at the end of every act, this was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. So the point is now, if you are trying to get to a conspiracy, the fact that you made a phone call to Fred Smith to say, Fred, meet me at noon, we have to talk, that starts to become involved in the story of the conspiracy.
That's right. So long as the action was in furtherance of that same goal, it can count. Now, of course, there does need to be illegal activity, a pattern of illegal activity, which under Georgia law is 2 crimes that are listed in that particular state statute. But all other actions that may not themselves be illegal, so long as they were in furtherance of that same scheme, that same illegal goal, can qualify.
Let me ask you, Representative, to explain to the average person who doesn't have legal training and doesn't know the specifics of Georgia law, how Georgia can include in its indictments acts that were committed in other states. This has references to things that were done in Arizona, things that were done in Michigan, and some things that were done in Pennsylvania. Where does that authority come from, and how does that play into what's considered an overt act versus committing an actual crime in Georgia?
Yeah, that's really the point of this statute, Allie, right? It comes from the law itself. And the law is designed to get at conduct that crosses lines. So it doesn't have to all occur in Fulton County. It doesn't have to all occur in Georgia. The whole point of RICO is to get at concerted action by individuals, no matter where they are, no matter what they're doing, if they are breaking the law in the process to in furtherance of an enterprise to reach a certain common goal. So because of that, these cases can be pled so broadly. And because they are pled so broadly, it allows the prosecutor to introduce at trial evidence that tells a complete story. This is why prosecutors love to use this statute. You're not talking about just the elements of one particular crime. You are essentially orchestrating you are presenting to the jury and the world the entire story of this criminal activity, all of the people involved, everywhere they went and everything they did, and the law will support you doing it.
Yeah, it makes it a long read, and I've read it for people who just want to download it and hear it. But it's a lot of that kind of detail. It tells you it's like a movie script more than it's a charging document, because it tells you all of the movements. Fred, let me ask you: there are some additional advantages to Georgia's RICO law. Federal RICO allegations need to show continuity, meaning a series of related acts over an extended period, not necessarily just a few weeks or months. The Georgia Supreme Court has made it clear that there is no such requirement in state law. In addition, Georgia also establishes that false statements or writings is a predicate act for racketeering. So Trump's phone calls to officials in Georgia, for example, would not be predicate crimes under federal RICO laws, but could be under Georgia's laws.
Absolutely. And I think that last point is particularly important. So when you look to the federal law and you look to the list of crimes that qualify, and then when you look to the Georgia law, which is 1614.3, when you look to the actual list of crimes, it's much, much broader under Georgia law. And the false statement one in particular is important. Everyone remembers that phone call that the president made to the Secretary of State, especially the line about finding 12,000 votes. But perhaps equally importantly is the false statements that he made to a government official that, according to the indictment, he knew to be false. That qualifies. The statements that were made in testimony to the Georgia House Subcommittee and the Georgia Senate Subcommittee, those false statements, they all qualify under RICO.
All right, we're going to need to launch a Law and Order Georgia version to follow all the differences in Georgia law, but I appreciate both of you making it a lot clearer to our audience. Democratic State Representative Tanya Miller of Georgia, and Fred Smith Jr. is a professor of law at Emory University.
Steppers Oz TV, we finna step up out of here, but before we go to Fani Willis, just know, if If you slipped up in any type of way, or if you got any type of dealings or involvement of why he divorced or anything inside his divorce, these accusations is true, just know that your own team gonna stick it to you. They gonna make an example out of you, because see, you the one that always want to be throwing RICOs on people. But then when you on the other side of the fence and you the criminal, it's gonna be real good to see you sitting in a cell somewhere. Real good. And I already see the way he looking at you. He ain't looking at no paperwork that's on your desk. I mean, I could just look at that look and already tell something going on. You already got a guilty face on your trying to look all innocent. Ain't nothing innocent about you. See how he looking at you. Can't fool me. Something going on between y'all two. And that's the same way your team looking at you. They're looking at you very suspicious. You already know you got a lot of people in your DA's office don't like you. You know, you look like a bossy type, shit talking ass type anyway, but oh yeah, they got it out for you. It's a matter of time before they get you. Step up.